Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Before we start the event, I would like to congratulate Integrate Research Group who managed to organize this ICEPE 2020. We would like to thank all the organizing committee for their hard work. It's not easy because they have something else also to do. But Alhamdulillah, and then we thank Allah for giving us the chances to invite Prof. Prof is quite a busy person, but she willing to share her experience with her. Yeah, just like kita ni baru belajar lah, kita akan belajar dengan Prof apa yang sepatutnya kita belajar, insyaAllah. So it will be benefited us, insyaAllah. And then before we start the event, let us correct our niat why we are here, because of Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. We have what we call it in front of us, students that we have to contribute to them, so that they become what we call it beneficial to the ummah. So with that, we start with Surah Al-Fatiha. A little bit biodata of Prof. Dr. Khairiyah Muhammad Yusof. Prof actually is the president. It's quite long. I have to read because it's good to read so that we know who is.
You don't have to read everything. Boleh skip.
Well, sikit saja. Saya letak. I read some of the important things. Prof is the president for the Society of Engineering Education Malaysia and a board member of the Academy of Professors Malaysia. So she is a professor in the Faculty of Engineering as well as the founding director and fellow of Universiti Teknologi Malaysia Center for Engineering Education. So it is good if we want to set up the engineering educations, we get some advice from Prof. Yeah. She had held position as vice president of the Federations of Engineering Education Societies from 2012 to 2018, and board member representing Asia of the Research in Engineering Education Network 2012 and 2017, a practitioner, a trainer, and researcher in scholarly engineering education practices. She has been invited to share her work locally and globally in Asia, Australia, Africa, Europe, and North and South America. So it is good opportunity to listen to looking at the experience having by the Prof. It is good to have you here. And I would like to add a little bit more. She is on the editorial and advisory boards of journals such as the Asian Journal of Engineering Education, Journal of Engineering Education, Journal of Education for Chemical Engineers, and European Journal of Engineering Education. She leads various funded engineering education projects such as the Consortium Grant on Teaching and Learning for 4IR from the Ministry of Higher Education, the World Bank funded OBE STL training in higher education in Afghanistan, crafting problem for learning control engineering from MathWorks Incorporation USA, and Engineering X project on enhancing the quality of engineering education funded by UK Royal Academy of Engineering. Among Prof wide-ranging work, Prof is most passionate about guiding young academic. We are fortunate to have young academic here in developing a scholarly approach in higher education, especially STEM. Okay, we can ask Prof about what is happening in Malaysia where the enrollment to the STEM is going down. So for her work, she received several awards, including the 2018 IFEES Duncan Fraser Global Award for Excellence in Engineering Education, 2017 Student Platform on Engineering Education Mentoring Award, 2015 Frank Morton ICEPEE'22, Prof. Global Award for Chemical Engineering Education Excellence, and the 2011 ICEPEE Malaysia Award on Education and Training. So looking at all these things, inshallah, we don't want to prolong. So we would like to invite you to give the presentations and you can highlight on the title that you want to speak today. So tafaddal mashkura ya Prof.
Thank you very much for the very Nice introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Okay, Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Prof. Zuraida and all the committee of the conference. I know it's a lot of work to do conferences. I've done quite a few, but it's always very rewarding and very challenging. When engineering education was quite new in Malaysia, there was interest, but it was scattered. So I tend to invite especially experts from outside, from those who I want to learn from. So, and it's a very nice platform when you have a conference, because you can gather those who are really interested in engineering education. So I've been given this topic, designing curriculum with human values. So I've added a little bit possibilities and challenges. We will focus on the challenges at the end, because I think we need to look at what is happening worldwide and what's the need, what is currently happening, and what are the possibilities. And then we will think of the challenges that we need to overcome. The challenges can also be opportunities. So we have to be able to look at things from different perspectives, because this is the way that humans grow. Allah will test us to help us to grow. Otherwise, we will be stagnant. And it's nice to be in our comfort zone, keeping up with the current practice and not really having to think about it. But then if we do not face all these challenges, then we do not change. And when there is no change, there is no growth. So I've always tried to remind myself that when I face challenges, when I face difficulties, as a Muslim, this is how Allah wants us to grow and become better and stronger. So I think all of us know, with the enhanced digital technology, with the current progress of the rapid progress in technology, a lot of things are possible. My area during my PhD was in a long time ago, is in modeling and control and optimization. I was doing modeling in artificial neural network when a lot of people did not know what it was at that time. So my work was quite challenged because of the slow speed of computers. I had to wait a long time to wait for my simulation to stop to get my results. And now my students, when they do the similar things, similar projects on fuzzy logic, neural network, takes a few seconds, very fast. They don't really have to wait. Like I had to wait at least 4 to 5 hours for my simulation to stop. So every time before I go back to my before I went back home, I will run my simulation, and then the next morning, I'll come and look at it. So it was a long time, 2-3 simulations in a day. So we have virtual reality, augmented reality being used in not only in education, but also in industries, robotics, nanotechnology. Because of these capabilities, we are able to look at even the smallest of things. 3D printing, which really enhance manufacturing because and learning in the classrooms. So there's a lot of opportunities that's been going on with all these technologies. But there's also challenges in the sense that ethics has always been the major issue in engineering, because engineers, yes, we have the capability to make the world better. We have the capability to help humankind, but there are also challenges in that, like we always think of Japan as a place where everybody is so ethical. But even this happened in Japan, Japan's Kobe Steel, this was a scandal. back in about 5 years ago, where they found out that the quality control was not truthful. Yeah, the quality of the steel being produced did not meet what they have promised. So, and this was a problem because Kobe Steel supplied steel to car manufacturers, aeroplane manufacturers. Yeah, so it was problematic because there can be safety issues. Yeah, luckily it was not. But it can really cause problems. Then there was a Volkswagen scandal in Germany, where they cheated on the car emission. Yeah, they say that their diesel engines were able to meet the emission standards when it was not. The most recent fallout was from the Theranos blood testing company, where they promised that with one drop of blood they can test for so many things, when it was actually not true. Yeah. So Elizabeth Holmes and her partner is now being charged, and this was a startup that was lauded as something that was very promising. Yeah, again, issues of ethics. And with all the things that we are doing to the world, and as an engineer, I feel responsible. I'm a chemical engineer, so I feel responsible. But chemical engineers also have the knowledge to correct whatever it is that we have done. Yeah, all engineers, we have this capability. It's how we view the world and how we view the technology that we bring forth. So we have natural disasters. We have that's very, very severe now. Our inventions are bringing in a lot of pollution and a lot of detrimental effects on the whole of living beings in this world. And the climate change, we cannot deny climate change. This is actually posters from Cape Town in South Africa. They about 5 years ago, they were facing the possibility of having the major dam that supply clean water to the city going down until just 10% of the actual level that is required. Yeah. So it went down to 52%, 27%, 10%, and then they managed to avert it. Okay, so they were asked, everybody had this campaign. If you go to Cape Town, they still have this campaign. They are not limiting just 50 liters per day anymore, but they told everybody to just use 50 liters a day, and those who use more will get shamed publicly. Yeah, this was what was happening. If you go to Cape Town, a lot of the water taps is not just coming straight out anymore. It's all sprays of water. Yeah, they really put in measures so that we do not waste water anymore when we use the taps there. Okay. So the forest fires that we are seeing is because of the increased temperature of the earth. The water level coming down in dams. The US Southwest is facing this now. This is also being faced in a lot of places around the world. In Malaysia, we are now facing typhoons, or hurricanes. Hurricane in the US, they call it hurricanes. In Malaysia, in Southeast Asia, we call it typhoons. Typhoons used to be only until Hong Kong. Yeah, about 5 years ago, it's only until Hong Kong and Taiwan. But then because of the rising sea temperature, it has now gone to the level of closer to the equator, to even Sabah can get typhoons now. The Philippines are getting typhoons. So the more severe weather we are facing has to do with the temperature increase and the changes in our the changes that's happening in our earth. So we have a responsibility towards this. And as engineers, sometimes, we tend to think of the smaller things that's in front of us, but we need to think of the bigger picture of our responsibility towards the whole earth. So we are the Khalifah of the world. Yeah, Allah put us here as a Khalifah, and it's an obligation. It's a responsibility for us to think about it. And I am so happy to be an engineer, because I think, I'm happy to be able to educate engineers, because we know that engineers have the capability and the knowledge to make a difference, to offer the solutions. So I feel that this is a personal responsibility among all of us to realize this. So it's really worth it to put our effort to educate our students in the best possible manner, so that they become very good engineers, very good human beings in a very holistic manner. So I know there's a lot of discussion right now, poor engineers, starting pay not that high. You study like mad, it's all very difficult, and then suddenly the pay is very bad. But I think we need to look at higher education not just as a pathway. Initially it is bad. Yeah, I talk to a lot of those who have succeeded. They say initially engineers have to work very hard, because you need to make that transition from the university to the workplace, and being able to apply the knowledge and make a difference. It takes 5 to 10 years. Yeah, at least 5 years, they say. Work very hard for at least 5 years, and then you will see an exponential gain in the value of their expertise. Okay, so I have quite a lot of, I have met quite a lot of successful engineers. They say the first 5 years is always very difficult, but after that, it's like an exponential rise in in the value of the skills and the knowledge of an engineer. So it is not being education in the university. Yes, we want to make a living, but that is also a development in the human. So what we become as a result of that education. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. Yeah? So it's the value that we add in the development of the human. So it is a pathway that can lead somebody to higher added value. It's not just a job, it's a career progression. We need to be able to explain this to those in schools, to the teachers, to the parents. This is actually a career pathway, a career progression that is not defined by just the starting point. Yeah. So I think it is, we need to understand this, because, when I look at this, the 3 pillars of sustainable development. Yeah. This is an engineering problem. Sustainable development, you see all these constraints only at the overlapping 3 pillars. When the 3 pillars overlap, can anything be acknowledged as being sustainable? Okay. So it's economic viability, social equity, environmental protection. This is the type of problem that engineers really understand. Yeah. So, there's a lot of literature on how we can educate the graduates or the engineers of the 21st century. And this is, our job as educators is to translate this into the short time that we have in the university, so that they can become engineers with the proper human values. Yeah. I'm wondering if do you want to go to the Mentimeter? How many people are there? Because it's going to take time. Or we can use the chat.
Yes, I think it's a good idea as well.
Use the Mentimeter? Okay.
Mentimeter, I'm afraid that we might take some time.
Okay, so just use the chat. Can I get from you, I have described what's happening now. What do you think should we have, human values should we have in the engineering curriculum? So I'll stop sharing so that I can see the chat. Boleh tak?
Boleh. So we are encouraging you to put whatever you think in the chat. Yes,
Boleh,
he says the iman.
Yes. Okay. Honesty, yes. Respectful, empathy, yes. Identity, very good. Anything else? Emotion, yes. To be responsible, good. Okay, so these are human values that we would want to have. Being responsible, having the identity, having empathy, which is something that is not easy to develop. Yeah. Any ideas how we can develop this? Anybody has tried to do this among you? If you have, can you just raise your hand? Use the emoticon. Boleh tak? The reaction. Anybody has done this in your classes to embed these values?
Through community service that they go to the community, Prof?
Yes, that is also possible. Yeah. One thing, if you have tried to do it, normally it is not directly. It is not directly. It is quite difficult. If you want to do it directly, it becomes not natural. Okay, so it has to be done in a way where it is natural. Then it will be impactful. So we'll go to the current efforts. Now, I think all of you know this, the Washington Accord program outcome. All of us have to face this because the word complex engineering problem, complex engineering activities, modern tool usage, and all that. Those things will come up now. And all the other engineering society, environment and sustainability, ethics, and so on. Now, all these program outcomes, there are actually human values attached. Yeah. Sometimes we tend to focus on the technical part, but the technical part is always actually attached to the human values. There's a group doing emotion in engineering education research now. Yeah, and I joined the group. It's based in Sweden. And we look at all the publications that has emotion in engineering education. And there's a lot of research that actually look at how emotion influence engineering decisions. So there's a lot of human values involved actually in engineering, something that, we may not realize, but it is there. And, we have the UN Sustainable Development Goal. Now, getting to this goal has a lot of human values involved. And engineers need to be involved because we can help solve a lot of these issues. Yeah. And we have a lot of these issues in Malaysia too. Yeah. So it's not only at the local level, but it's also at the global level. And how we reach out to other parts of the world to help solve our local problems is also very important. Yeah. How we develop our own human capacity to work together in the world. And now this is something that Prof. Fatin and I, when we sat down, looking at all the requirements that engineers, in the 4 years of engineering undergraduate, our students was school leavers, and then they have this short time with us, 4 years, before they graduate and they start working. So within that short 4 years, how can we develop the necessary fundamental knowledge, skills, and the desired human values? But the thing is, these 4 short years are the very important formative years for our students. This is actually where they start to find their identity, who they are. and what they want to be. So we actually have them in at a time where they are actually looking for who they want to become. Yeah. So very formative years, and if we tend to waste it, then we will not have, it will be a pity. So in curriculum design, there's a lot of ways when we want to think about how to impart human values. Yeah. So there can be a diffusion approach where we add more courses, which doesn't, do you think this will work? Just adding more courses to our overstaffed curriculum. So normally this is not a good idea. So the infusion approach, so this is where we need to see all the outcomes that we have to develop in our students and infuse the human values. Now, I want to, although we use outcome-based education, if a certain human value is part of the identity of the institution, then it doesn't have to be measured. It can be infused without being measured, but you can actually feel it. You can actually know that it is there. Yeah. So if certain values are very important, then it can be in all the core courses. Yeah. And we have to think of how to instill this in the natural context and the settings of the profession. Yeah. There's also the silo versus the integrated approach. The course by course approach that we're doing is called the silo approach, where the courses do not seem to be related to one another. Yeah. Although we know it's related, the subject matters are related, but to our students, when it's isolated in the courses, they have a difficulty in making the connection, unless we have something that shows that they are connected. Yeah. There's another approach where it's the ecosystem approach, but it's not part of the curriculum. So this become part of the institutional culture, and you can feel it everywhere. Yeah, not only in the formal classrooms, but also in the surroundings, in the living spaces, in anywhere that you go around campus. Yeah, some universities has an entrepreneurial culture, and you can actually see it everywhere. Yeah, so the students are always driven, anywhere they go, they are always driven to think about entrepreneurial thinking. Yeah, so these are the things that's possible. So which is the most common approach that we tend to use? What about in your own programs when you want to instill human values? Any specific approach? Ada tak?
Infusion. I believe it's infusion.
Infusion. Okay, so if you use infusion, that's very good. But it has to be specific, yeah? It has to be specifically designed. So it has to be explicit, and we have to know what we're doing. Okay, and the best approach would be if you have the infusion of approach, and together with something that is integrated, that becomes a culture that all the faculty members will try to say something about in their classes. Okay, so it becomes very explicit. So what are the possibilities? So I'm going to show you two examples that I've done, and I can see that it does work. When anything with the outcome of team working, you can actually infuse human values very easily. Yeah, because team working is human interaction. And when we do team working, there's a lot of skills that actually we can infuse. Yeah, so I'm just going to show you some of them, which are the interpersonal skills, care, how they care about people, how they care about each other, empathy. Yeah, so this is something that you said just now. Now I'm going to show you that I know many of you would know this, constructive alignment. In OBE, we tend to say that everything must be constructively aligned. Now, Professor John Biggs gave the name constructive alignment because of the underpinning principle behind this design of constructive alignment. So he used the constructivist learning theory as the learning theory behind constructive alignment. So what does that mean? It means that now this is, I went to workshops handled by Professor John Biggs. I was able to learn from both Professor John Biggs and Dr. Catherine Tang, his wife. Now, this is how Professor John Biggs actually explained it. He says that it's a lecturer's intention, what we intend to be. That is why if you look at, if you read about constructive alignment, it's labeled as the intended learning outcomes. Not just learning outcomes like in OBE. So it's the intended learning outcomes. From the intended learning outcomes, the active verb must be activated in the student's activity, the teaching and learning activities. Whatever is the active verb, it has to be done by the students. And the lecturer's intention should be aligned to how we assess it. The best is if the student's activities is being assessed directly. So that will ensure alignment. Now, I kept asking myself, why did he say intended learning outcomes? So after all these years, I start to realize that the learning outcome is not just something that is impersonal to the person, to the educator. It falls to our heart. What is our intention when we teach that course? When we design that teaching and learning activities for the students? So design it from the heart. Designing it from the heart, and it shows. The students will feel it. You don't have to say it, but it will come out. Which means that we really believe, that is our niyah. Innamal a'malu binniyah. So designing the teaching and learning environment also starts from the heart. If you believe it, it comes from the heart. You're really designing it so that students will be able to acquire those outcomes. Then when they do the teaching and learning activities, we can assess it and help them. If the outcomes are high-level outcomes, then we can help them with scaffolding, with activities, so that they will reach the level that they are supposed to. So this is constructive alignment. The constructivist learning theory says that we have to give opportunities for students to do what they have to learn. They have to be able to act it out, to do it. So if it's something related to analysis, we have to guide them to think to the analysis level. If they cannot reach that analysis level, then we have to scaffold. We have to put in activities so that they can reach it. So in constructive alignment, it's not just about having the outcome and leaving the students just like that. Oh, it's aligned. I'm assessing them, and this is what they have to do, and it's aligned. Yes, it may be aligned, but if we have our students at a lower level and they cannot reach it, then we have to support them. Now, I want to ask you something. If you're standing on the ground here, can you reach the red door? Boleh tak? Who can reach the red door? I have audiences sometimes who say, well, Spider-Man can do it. okay, Spider-Man is somebody else. A normal person will not be able to reach that red door. So it's the same thing. If we have high-level outcomes, this is what I said about scaffolding. We have to put in certain activities, give them some assistance so that they can reach that higher level at a faster rate compared to if we just leave them alone. Okay? So let's look at team working skills. The example that I want to show you. Now, if we think about it, how do we normally develop team working skills? The normal way that I used to do before I learned about cooperative learning is to just group the students together and then give them work and let them figure it out. At the end, I will assess the group output. I don't know. Is that how you do it? Or maybe you're better off than when I started out. But team working skills are actually very important because this is how we can help develop human interaction. How students can interact with their peers, how they will interact with the society. So this is actually a very good opportunity because we can actually assist them on what what is good team working. Yeah, help them have that mental picture of what is required, because this, when they go out to work, this is a real world requirement. Team working is a very important requirement. So I use the principles of cooperative learning to develop team working skills, because cooperative learning has been shown to develop team-based learning in a very effective manner. So under cooperative learning, in a classroom, typical classroom, there can be 4 types of groups. Yeah, a pseudo group where nobody essentially does any work, so the team performance is actually much lower than the individual students' performance. A traditional group where this is divide and conquer. If there's the group work, there's 4 students, they will divide it into 4. On the day it's due, they will just staple it together and turn it in. Okay, so this is a traditional group. The performance level, because they do everything on their own, is actually the same as the performance level of an individual student. Yeah, so this is not team working. A cooperative group is when they have all these cooperative learning principles embedded. Yeah, they have positive interdependence, individual accountability, face-to-face promotive interaction. Along the way, they develop appropriate interpersonal skills, and we help them with the regular group function assessment so that the team can improve throughout the semester. So the cooperative group will tend to help each other during their face-to-face promotive interaction. They help anybody who is stuck. They become responsible for their own part of the work, but they also see the others' work as part of the team effort and also have ownership over it. Okay, so because of that, their performance level is so much higher than the individual performance level. This is what team working is about. You want them to have a higher level of performance as a team. And there's also high-performing cooperative team where they actually care about each other. They go beyond just the work that they have to do. Okay, so this is like, this description is something that I give to my students. Yeah, so it's a scaffolding, because then they will have a mental picture of what group team working is about. And I ask them after they've done their work, in the first 1 or 2 weeks in the course, during the semester, I ask them, okay, so which type of group are you? And many tend to gravitate towards traditional group, because before this, they thought that traditional groups, this is what team working is about, but then it's not. Okay, so once they have this mental picture, this is what good team working is about, then they start to work towards being a cooperative group. Yeah, some of them do not want to admit that a traditional group, they say it's something in between. I said, no, you cannot have anything in between. Yeah, so this is an example. So there's a lot of ways on how to make sure that all the principles are inside our activities. Yeah, so the feedback the students have to give to each other in at various times throughout the semester. I ask the students to do a plus and delta. Plus means that whatever you do that should be kept on because it's good, it helps your team work very well. Delta are the things that need to be improved on. Okay, these are the things that you need to improve on. So I told them just put the top 3. Yeah, and then I began to add, what can I do? What is it that I need support on from other team members, and what are the things or support that I can offer to other team members? So this is part of empathy building. Yeah, empathy is not just about understanding what others need, it's also being able to seek help. Yeah, and by the way, I added this during the pandemic. Yeah, during our online class. Yeah, and I was very worried because I was teaching first-year students. They have never met each other. They have never been to UTM. And I was thinking, how can I help them become less isolated? Yeah, they have never felt, it was the first time when I asked the students, okay, what's the difference between learning in school and learning in the university? They say it's the same because everything was online. Yeah, when actually, if it's face-to-face, there's a lot of difference. So this is what I was saying. Sometimes we can have a lot of outcomes, but there's a lot of human values that we can actually put inside by design. Yeah, if we want to. So these are some examples from other groups. And this is another example in the same course of how we instill environmental sustainability. So one of my PhD students actually studied the impact of sustainable development awareness and behavior among the students in the Introduction to Engineering course. Actually, I put that student in because it's a lot of work to do it. Although we work as a team, I think I felt that I needed to see something concrete, a concrete impact to keep this course running the way it is, because it requires quite a lot of time from all of us. Okay, anyway, we designed the course such that students will have a sustainable development-based problem, but at the same time, they go through an engineering process so that they realize what it takes to be an engineer. Yeah, so the problem is designed in such a way that they become familiar with the issues. They do benchmarking so that they know what's happening in the world and other parts of and Malaysia. They do data collection on themselves and also their family. And finally, they generate a solution based on the predominant problem that they see in the data collection. Okay, so I use the inductive teaching and learning approach when I use problem-based learning. So basically, we do not teach them first, but they start with a problem and they have to solve the problem, and along the way, they learn it. So this is the framework that we use for cooperative problem-based learning. If you're interested, I've written papers on it. We don't have that much time, so I'm going to go very fast. So this is the type of problems that we give. Low carbon, how to generate low carbon society. We rope in stakeholders. So in this case, in 2012, is the Iskandar Region Development Authority that became involved and gave seminars, and we use their names as the problem. This is on sustainable waste management. We use the waste management company in Johor to do that. Then we did a food waste problem. During the pandemic, we did a problem on consumerism because everybody was buying things online. So we integrated it with a programming course, Introduction to Programming course, where students develop a computer program to automatically calculate the carbon footprint, taking into account how you buy it, whether you buy it in the shops or whether you buy it online, and online where is the source from, whether it's from China or from somewhere in Malaysia. Yeah. So students has to be supported because it's a different way of learning. So this is the trauma curve that human beings normally go through when we face new challenges, yeah, or a different change. So we show this to the students as a scaffolding so that they understand the strong emotion that they're feeling, yeah, the resistance that they're feeling. But we encourage them to be positive so that they get back up to a higher level of performance. Yeah. You can see that trauma curve in this reflection when students talk about their problem-solving skills. It's a big pressure for me. We have to face this problem-based learning. There's a lot of things to do. In the middle of the semester, they say, oh, I have a lot of work to do. It's very stressful, but it has to be completed. So there is acceptance there. And at the end of the semester, I am very happy. It's not easy. We need to brainstorm like a half-dead person, but it taught me to be patient and not to give up. Okay, so developing resilience among students. So we mapped the problem and the learning environment that we did. So this is from Kaiser and Führer, where they say that when we want to develop beyond the knowledge, beyond the cognitive function, we want to develop the students, we want to change the belief and the behavior. There has to be many different forms of teaching and learning activities. Yeah. From the declarative part, procedural, effectiveness, and the social. Because we use problem-based learning as the underpinning part, we were able to meet all four. Okay, so we did a pre-post analysis, and all of them on social development before and after going through the course, everything increased significantly. Okay. So these are example students' reflection on effectiveness of the knowledge domain, yeah, on the knowledge that they gain. On the social domain, So they do realize that it is their responsibility. This is the thing about sustainable development. We are all responsible for it. It's not somebody else. So we were very happy to do it. So this is when it was face-to-face. Online, it became interaction on Jamboard, on a lot of other things. So we always have a competition in the end where the students will compete among each other. So this was our competition online. Yeah, so we managed to bring it up online, and the nice thing was that we can bring the judges virtually even from outside of Malaysia. So the challenges. So what are the challenges? Now that you see that it is possible to bring this human values inside, yeah, what do you see are the challenges now? Can you please type in the chat area? Or no more challenges?
Time consuming for us to assess their performance.
Time consuming, okay. Lagi? Anything else? You can type or you can say it out, it doesn't matter, it's okay. Anything else?
Our own self, Prof.
Your own self.
The lecturer itself, yeah.
Betul. That's the biggest one. Rushing to finish the syllabus. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go on. This is what many years ago, Professor James to the start said. It could well be that faculty members of the 21st century set aside their roles as teachers and instead become designers of learning experiences, processes, and environments. In my class, actually, I do not say much. Yeah, it's about the design of what the students have to do and guiding them along. So there is instruction. I do give instruction, describe things, the important parts, and then they do it, and we guide them along the way. Yeah. So this is very true. I have other faculty members who guide other people who don't actually talk to their students that much, but they guide the students. And I actually had to think of step back and think of who I am as an engineering educator. How do I want to do it? There's the 21st century skills, the Engineering Accreditation Council, the students around us. I really love being with students. But I also think about, how knowledge can transcend what we do as an educator, can transcend our life. The years that we spend on this earth, what we do can actually transcend beyond that by developing and being a good educator. So, and you have to remember this hadith, it says beneficial knowledge. It's the knowledge that our students can use in their lives. If we impart on them knowledge that they can hardly use and can only use in their exams, what's the use? Yeah. And again, it's by intention. What is our intention actually in being an educator? So, these are the challenges that I see in designing the curriculum. It's on the educator, it's on the department and program owners. This is on our own, who we are, what we are willing to do, what we're willing to learn, what we're willing to change in ourselves, what we're willing to change in how we see the knowledge, how do we see teaching and learning. The department or the program owners, how do we work together as a department? How do we work together with other faculty members across our faculty? And as an institution, how are the faculty members supported to do what and spend time if we think it's really important? Are we willing to support our faculty members in a direction that is not conventional? Yeah. What about their career pathway? Can they be promoted? Yeah. Now, this is from another research, and we found that those who had a highly teacher-centered experience when they are learning, it takes time for them to finally believe in student-centered approaches. That is mainly required when we want to make these transformations. So there also has to be support. Yeah, there has to be a community to support this. So when you're doing this type of conferences, you bring along this community of practice, and slowly there will be shift in the in the community and on how you see your curriculum, how to impart it. There's a global effort actually in developing the career pathway of faculty members who's interested in engineering education. So this is a worldwide effort. When beyond the encouragement of my bosses, when I was starting out engineering education, I know I'm going to have problems in my own promotion, and I cannot find a community of people who are really serious to go deeper into the scholarly aspect. So I went beyond what is available not only in Malaysia but also in Asia. I became involved with the international community to learn about engineering education. So there's a very vibrant and strong community of engineering educators across the world. Yeah, and Asia and Africa is slowly waking up to all this. So as a conclusion, we can embed human values in engineering curricula. There's a lot of opportunities. Yeah, it may not be apparent, but in all those outcomes, there are human values that we can actually embed. The suitable principles can be used to design effective learning environment and processes to instill values and attain outcomes. So don't start from scratch. Go to the literature and try to educators can be effective by approach, and support from leaders are needed to ensure meaningful and quality education comes to work together. Don't work alone. Always form a community. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. But I would like to highlight it's a little bit noise there. Is it from our side?
Ada orang unmute kot.
Hopefully that somebody can unmute it so that we can proceed with a question and answer. But before that, a little bit of what we call it summarize the importance of what Prof has mentioned, that the intentions of the educator is very important. What is meaning that this is what some of the ulama they say that teaching from the heart. Not teaching is meaning not just teach, but from designing the curriculum, we have to be passionate enough. It must be from our heart. So from our heart, they will touch another heart. That is our students' heart. I think this is which is very, very, very important for us to highlight it. And I can see from the chat in the WhatsApp group, it says that we have to learn more from Prof. But I have a lot of questions, Prof, but I don't want to conquer this platform. I would like to invite my colleague, my young colleague, that they have a long way to go to ask the questions. So I welcome all the questions. We have a quite wide spectrum backgrounds of educators here, from the young one to Professor Emeritus. So you are welcome to ask the questions. Tafadhal. Okay. Can somebody mute that sound, please, so that we can clearly hear the questions? Yes, any questions?
Assalamualaikum. Can I ask a question?
Yes, go please. Go ahead, please.
Prof. Khairiyah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the presentation just now. I have a question regarding sometimes we have very nice curriculum, we are very nice on the paper, but when we talk about things that, you know, with values, we need to internalize it. The students should masuk dalam dia punya darah daging lah kan. So but how do we how to ensure in engineering education that we do this, that in the end it's not just like on the paper, is being able to transfer the internalization to the students. Thank you. I'm Fazlin, by the way, sorry.
So this was like the when we designed the sustainable development, we wanted the students to be able to be aware and also have a mark on their belief and also the change in behavior, yeah, for the first year students. We designed the problem in such a way that initially, yes, they just read about it. They see what's happening in Malaysia. They see what's the problem worldwide. They benchmark what's happening in Malaysia against what's happening overseas. Now I give you an example, like the food waste. Then in the second part of the problem, we ask them to audit themselves and also to audit their families. How much food is being wasted? So, and the data, usually we ask them, when they get the data, we ask them, so what does this mean? Yeah. And then there's a lot of data outside on food waste, per capita, food consumption per capita, and they begin to compare this, worldwide, what's happening. Their data against somebody else's data. Then they have to think of an engineering solution in the third part. So as we bring them through the problem, it's not just, there's reflection in every stage. First, they reflect over their reading, the knowledge that they have acquired. Then they reflect over their own behavior as students, typical students, and as typical Malaysian families. And they start to realize that, hey, this is a big problem. Yeah. And what we see among our students is that they begin to, even after 2 years, when we did a survey, they say that they talk about sustainable development to their parents. Before, they did not want to join any programs related to sustainability. They begin to join these programs and begin to be active. They got involved. Yeah. So when they get involved, it means that, yes, it has touched their belief. It does touch their hearts. It's changing their behaviors. So when you design when you step back and do the proper design, it is possible to change the students. But we did not tell them to change. We designed the learning process and the learning environment such that they see the need to change. So it has to come from inside of them. And we do have a small, I always ask the students at the end of the semester, is it really necessary to emphasize on sustainable development in the first year course? 95% of the students says yes, 5% says no. They say they're tired of it. So you will not get everyone, but I think 95% is good enough. Yeah. So it has to be a mixture of teaching and learning activities. Like I showed you, it has to be declarative, procedural, social aspect, and so on. Getting the students to work together towards that one goal is very important, because the social aspect, we are social beings. So the social aspect also has very strong influence. Okay. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you, Prof.
Yeah. Somebody says here that the challenges, exam, CGPA, audit, and all that, getting a job. When I first did problem-based learning in our other research, students were able to overcome their need for the extrinsic motivation, but their intrinsic motivation increased. So they say that, I know that I may not score this high in this course, but at least I have learned a lot, more than beyond the grades. So it is possible, but you need to design it properly. Okay, that's it.
All right, thank you, Dr. Fazlin. Any other questions to be asked? If not, I would like to ask Prof, because embedding the empathy, the sympathy, and because we have talked from Tan Sri Rector yesterday, it's so that from sympathy, that from far from when they are not in the community, they just look at for example, the media, they say that they are sympathy, but when they go to the community, they say they are empathy, that we can inculcate a lot of things inside what we call it their heart, that they need to help people or society around that. But sometimes we know, as you mentioned just now, we cannot get 100% that when they go, they have that one, the empathy. But some of them, they just get, oh, I need to fulfill the what we call it, the requirement of the course that they have to go down there. But at the end of the, how this, even though it is small percentage, how can we what we call it, develop the empathy inside them?
Okay.
Even though it is small, because from the reflective journal, as you mentioned, that about 85% are saying that, but another small portion, they say it's too time consuming and I don't feel anything about that, for example. So how we develop the empathy in these small, what we call it, groups?
Okay. Actually, it's best to be done in an integrated manner. Yeah, when you integrate it across the curriculum among different courses. So you need to work together as a team. That is most effective, because when we manage to integrate it with the computer programming course, students really see that we're serious about this and there's importance in it, and they actually focus more effort on it. But you know, there's no we have to remember that we don't have the capability to change hearts.
Yeah.
Only Allah can do that.
Yeah.
We try our best and we make dua. So, but then we have to try our best. You know, I always say that even if, you know, some students do not change, but what can I do? I know I've done my best, I hope, so that when I die and Allah were to ask me in the hereafter, I can say that, Ya Allah, I've done my best.
Yeah, we have done it.
Yes. But this is the thing. When I have begin to, you know, there's a whole lot of things involved. I ask the students, you know, I always explain to the students, this is the intended outcomes. This is my objective. I want to do this. I'm designing this in this course so that this is what you will get out of it if you participate. So now can you write your learning objective, your learning goal? Yeah. So this is what I have designed it for. But now, so what is your goal? Do you want to participate and really get everything? And I also get them to think about their life's goal. What is it that they want to do with their life? How do they see what they do in the course connected to what they want to achieve in their lives? So it's about doing it at the smaller level in the course, but also connecting it to the bigger picture. And, you know, I really, you know, when we designed the Introduction to Engineering course, we actually focus on the aspects of being an engineer, what are the behaviors needed, what are the capabilities needed, but we also bring them to focus on the bigger picture when they have to do benchmarking, comparing it with other things that's happening in the world. Now, knowing that this is what is happening in the world, this is how the world is changing, and you're going to live in this world, and you're going to be an engineer, what can you contribute to it? So it's going beyond just themselves. And we need to help our students and scaffold them to have this kind of thinking. So I have two students actually studying different aspects of what happened to the students in the first year on their metacognitive skills development, on their cognition. Cognition is resilience, grit, developing grit. So it has to do a lot with the goals that the students have, and that I think many faculty members tend to forget. So what is their goal? If their goal is to just get an A, how will this help them in their lives? Is it enough to just get an A? What do you want from that course? What will that course help you achieve? So this is going on to getting a job. You know, if you get a job, this is your pay, but how will that job help you become a better person? So that in your career pathway, you actually become better because of having that experience. So relating it to their life's goal, what is their short-term goal? What is their long-term goal? a lot of the lifelong learning, self-development aspect improvement has to do with goals, and this is you know, innamal a'malu binniyah, yeah. Our goal of being a Khalifah, how do we make the world better? And you know, like I said just now, engineers are supposed to make the world better. So what is that piece of contribution that we are going to make the world better? So get them to think about it. Not everybody will buy it, but then, you know, we try our best and make dua.
Yeah, true. Because we cannot satisfy everybody, and their heart is belong to Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. We pray for that. Then they understand that their role as a Khalifa. Any other questions? Because I will allow another one questions.
Prof. Sulaida, can I ask?
Yes, Prof. Go ahead, Prof.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. This is Aisha. Yeah. Prof, first I want to thank you for the comprehensive presentation. It's very fruitful. Okay. To me, I feel like changing the student is not impossible. It's not difficult. It's not very difficult. The thing is about the educators themselves, you know. Also, having knowledge or train the educators is very also possible, you know. I agree with you, we cannot change the heart of people. This is for Allah to change. But how to change the mindset of the educators? You know, we still tend to use our mind, not our heart.
Yeah.
So I think this is a big challenge. If educators play the role and use their heart, I think we can deliver to because the students are still young, they can be easy to change them, you know. But the issue is to change the educators themselves.
I wish I can answer the question. I wish I can give you a perfect answer, but this is my own experience. I work with, I do a lot of mentoring with the lecturers that I'm teaching, like the Introduction to Engineering course. There's actually, I think, more than 10 faculty members that I have mentored in my department to teach the course. So it's always by example.
Yes.
But if I do not want to do something, then I do not expect others to do it.
Yes.
True.
Yes. So I do it by example. I guide them, and until they know what is the guiding principle, what is the underpinning principle on making the decisions on what to do and what not to do. So it's by our own you know, working together with other faculty members. Another thing is, there will be some of the faculty members who are actually interested in doing this. So you know, I developed training, systematic training, and the training is not just one shot, because then we will see the faculty members, you know, from time to time, from part 1 to part 2 to part 3 and so on, and we talk to them and we guide them. Actually, you know, this is very important if the institution also play a role and have a formal mentoring program, because mentoring is actually very, very important. I see the younger faculty members to be more flexible and more willing to change, to make that change.
True.
But you know, it doesn't mean that I push away the older ones. I have the older ones also that I'm mentoring, so it doesn't matter. But it's always by example, work in specific projects together. Once you've done your course, if you look at Scholarship of Teaching and Learning, you can either write papers together or you can enter exhibitions together. Yeah. So this will help you get disseminate what you've done and also get feedback. So it's not only doing the teaching in our classes, you need to let it out from your classes. What you do, good teaching should not be confined to the 4 walls of the classroom.
True.
Okay, so it has
what this platform for, Prof?
Yes, very much. So it has to be written about. You can go to competitions and get feedback, and also disseminate what you've done. So it will grow and grow. And in my personal experience, I was attracted to engineering education from reading papers. So I started to write about what I've done, which was quite strange during my time. But then it grew and grew. And because of the, once you start doing it, the knowledge also grew, the expertise also grew. So this is how you can grow together as but this is a grassroots approach. The best will be if you have the bottom up and top down approach. So perhaps, if somebody's in the management and can push it from the top to have a career pathway, that would be the best. So.
We have Deputy Dean Academic Affairs here, so that can bring it to the higher part. Yeah, Prof. Maan. All right. I think we reached to that is the final questions. I hope there's no questions. If we have questions, inshallah, we can still contact Prof, and we have special session or special what we call it a talk from Prof, inshallah. So as conclusions, what we call it, this is what do you have for the lecturer, because most of us educators here. It is as suggested by Prof, what you have done in that 4 wall in your classroom, you can show it to the others so that others can learn from what we have done. If it is good, then inshallah, it will benefit that other, inshallah. So with that, we would like to thank Prof for the very good sharing. We do hope that Prof retire awal, so that the ilmu can be what we call it share with others, newcomers. But however it is, but as what Prof said, it doesn't mean it stopped there. It just stopped retirement, but Prof still can contribute. So we do hope. There's a request there. Before we end, again, on behalf of the committee, again, we would like to thank Prof. Jazakallah khair. And before we end, let us take the session photo together.